Communities who intentionally limit who can live and work there often face practical challenges. Welcome to the Reality Room. Thank you for stopping by. Please do well to like our video, subscribe to our channel, and hit on your notification bell so you always get updated each time we make a post. In today's episode, we're talking about white-only town collapsing. There is this saying that no man is an island, meaning there is no way you can survive on your own. You need help from some other person to survive. There is no way, literally there is no way you can survive on your own. White only town was a community only for white, meaning if you were black, you were not welcome into that community. So they believed they could do things all by themselves without literally having to work in collaboration with black. These people thought they could do things on their own, but literally they couldn't, because at some point they began needing help. They eventually began to seek help from neighboring towns because they lacked workers and some essential services. Let us watch these clips and listen to what some of these people have to say.
What I need the world to realize is that Americans do not give a shit about you. The majority of Americans don't even know that your country exists. They wouldn't be able to even pick it out on a map. If the United States government decided to yeet your country off of the face of the earth tomorrow, the majority of Americans would not bat an eye. Half the country would support it. The majority of the other half are apathetic to it. The people in this country who actually give a shit about the world are an extreme minority. And so why does the world continue to care about America in this way? Following American trends, adopting these cultural practices that are largely rooted in consumerism, looking up to American celebrities and public figures, this country and its people are nothing to emulate. American consumption habits are literally destroying the world. This country is only 5% of the world's total population, but is responsible for a quarter of the trash that it produces. The parasitic government will destroy countries without batting an eye. And realize Donald Trump is not the first to do this. But the world is a little bit too complacent, just as Americans are. And people are waking up to it, but not enough. This country has done so much to destroy the world, and people are too passive in accepting it. And so the world needs to boycott America, not just regarding consumption, but culturally and socially as well.
What do you mean that all-white town failed? How could a self-proclaimed superior race fail at anything? It's so many of them that don't want to be around other races. How do you fail at building something for you, by you? If every white racist moved to that town and support that town, y'all should be good. Your own government, your own restaurants, your own little honky-tonks. But you failed. Give black people a chance to do something like that. And don't tear it down and watch what happens. Give Hispanic people a chance to build something like that and watch what would happen without tearing it down. Complain, complain, complain. Jeez.
The folks building up that white-only community in Missouri are very funny, because if you know your history, you'll realize that it's going to collapse upon itself. It's going to fail. And I really feel like they're going to notice that it's failing whenever Becky's trying to make burrito tacos and she's really fucking it up. And they'll find somebody else to blame at the end of the day, because these people have insane egos and are just extremely racist. Like, the thought of maybe my ignorance and my stupidity led to this failure is too much for them. They can't compute it, because for centuries they've been telling themselves that they're better than because of the color of their skin, because they're white. They're pure. They're God's gift to earth. You know what I mean? And their whole existence depends upon having their ego stroked by society. And if you don't stroke their ego, they're going to lash out. They're going to wild out. Like, and it's because they don't have any kind of culture. They don't have anything to really cling to besides whiteness. Because a lot of white people have lost their culture as a result of coming over here from Europe. And because they lost their culture, lost their heritage, they're always trying to infiltrate black and brown communities and take what they can. and bring it back to them. You know what I mean? Because it's like they see that our communities are built on love and care for one another. And white supremacy doesn't allow for that. It drives for individualism. It drives for you not to care about anybody but yourself, because you're trying to reach a level of white supremacy that'll allow you to not give a fuck about anybody, that'll allow you to be extremely superior. White supremacy doesn't just mean supremacy over black and brown folks. It's supremacy over other white people as well. Because capitalism is one of the things that really holds up white supremacy and allows it to function and run rampant.
Guys, here's a story that's guaranteed to divide opinion. A project linked to a white separatist movement in America has connections to an attempt to establish a whites-only community in rural Wales. The organisers say it's about preserving heritage and living among like-minded people. Critics say it's blatant racism and segregation dressed up in a different language. But here's the question I want you to think about and answer truthfully. If any other ethnic group said they wanted to build a community exclusively for people of their own background, how would society react? Would it be treated differently? Would it be considered racist or promoting separatism? I'm not sure it would. It may even get government funding as a friendly cultural initiative. But aren't the rules supposed to be the same for everyone? Or do we apply different standards depending on who's involved? Personally, I think the principle's simple. If discrimination is wrong, it's wrong regardless of who's doing it. You can't have one set of rules for one group and another set for everyone else. Equality doesn't work that way. At the same time, this case raises another issue. Why are groups like this gaining attention at all? Is it because they're driven by prejudice? Because people feel politically alienated? Because of concerns about immigration? Or some combination of all those factors? That's a conversation Britain needs to have honestly, without pretending difficult questions like this don't exist. So where do you stand? Should any community be allowed to choose who can and can't join based on ethnicity? Or should that be unacceptable across the board? Let me know in the comments.
Are we seriously mad about people wanting to have a whites-only community? Let's not forget the fact that we always label things black own this and black own that. So a white man, Eric Arwal, wanted to establish his own town for his own people, white people. He wanted to control who he had as neighbors. His goal is to preserve the purity of his culture and traditions. So what are we mad for? Let's not forget, a couple years ago, Ashley Scott and Renee Walters got together and created their own community, their own black community. They wanted to create generational wealth and keep their legacy and culture. So I'm confused. What's the problem when the white people want to do it? And I know what you're going to say. You're going to try to bring up history and that victimization mentality. We're not doing that. We are not doing that. That happened many years ago. We're talking about now. We're not going to continue to bring up the past. At one point, we did have Black Wall Street. And yes, it was destroyed. However, we had the ability to rebuild and we didn't. We were defeated. So we're not going to continue to play the victim. This is a voluntary self-segregation, not a forced one. Get over it.
Funniest part about that whites only town in Arkansas, black folks ain't mad and you're mad, we not mad. So there's a brand new whites only town in Arkansas and the gag is black people don't even care. Now I've seen the comments. Why aren't black people upset? Why are you mad about this? We gonna clear this up right now. Nobody's upset, Poo-Poo. See, the one thing black people ain't gonna do is lose sleep over other people that want to create a safe space for themselves. Build your own little town, plant a flag, that's fine. Hang a welcome sign, whatever makes you feel good. Honestly, we gotta be real about something, because I saw the interviews, I saw the clips. This ain't a town of exceptional people. I mean, think about it. If you drop everything to move to this town, you probably already didn't have much going on anyway, right? And that's not shade, that's facts. So the question is again, why should black folks care? This is the part that cracks me up the most. Y'all want us to care. I see the confusion in your eyes. I see it. Y'all like, don't the blacks care? Don't they want to be where we are? Nah. We just want to make sure when we build our communities, we're not cheated out of the things that we're supposed to have. That's all we care about, boo. And it's wild because history has shown as soon as black people do build their own thriving spaces, what happened? Some of your people roll up and burn the whole thing down. But we're supposed to believe now? Y'all just want to be left alone. Child, I'm going to tell you what really gave it away for me, though. The fact that they ran to the media. That's not privacy, y'all. That's desperation. Numbers must be low. If you got to beg the evening news to let them know that you exist, waitlist my ass. See, if black folks were building their town, the media would be the last people that we want to know about it. We gatekeep. We ain't trying to broadcast. But y'all couldn't wait to hold the press conference. That's not security, that's thirst. So no, we're not upset, we're not jealous, we're not even plotting to crash your party. Cause truth be told, we really don't care. And honestly, that's what really bothers y'all.
So some of the people in Arkansas are building a whites-only town because when progress comes knocking, these people lock their door and clutch their unflavored casseroles. They say it's about preserving culture, which is bold for a group of people that are allergic to seasoning and fats. But hey, finally a place for people who think Cracker Barrel is ethnic food and diversity means choosing between mayo or ranch. So congratulations, Arkansas. You've done what segregationist, HOA board, and your racist uncle on Facebook has only dreamed of. A town based on nostalgia from a period that was pretty garbage to begin with. But sure, tell me again how we are the one that's dividing the country. And when this fails, because it will fail, don't come back into society. You don't need any of our supplies. You don't need our electricity. You don't need our Wi-Fi. Be in your little cult.
There is an all-white town in South Africa. Can y'all really be mad though?
Orania is a whites-only town. Black people cannot live or work here. Every job is reserved for the whites. Every task performed by white people.
Continue, because I'm taking notes.
It prints its own money, runs its own banks, has its own holidays, and manages its own affairs.
No.
It sounds like...
So when you say handle your own affairs, that means like y'all can have your own police and stuff, right? Just hear me out, y'all. Just hear me out. Why don't we do this? In America, we can call our police the Black Panthers. We grow our own food. We don't got to worry about the GMO and the fake food and the fake stuff. We don't got to worry about our water being contaminated by fluoride and heavy metals, so we can open our third eyes and stuff. Instead of church, we have meditation days. We build our own houses because we self-sufficient. The kids actually go to school and they can learn things like archery, how to build a fire, how to handle their anger, where they're not being brainwashed, stuck in a society where they're controlled by fear, and learning things that they never take with them as an adult, like X squared plus B squared. On some real stuff, just tell me how y'all did this. I get it, you're not racist, you just don't want to be around black people. Well, I don't want to be in corporate America. The lies of the news, fake food, fake water. On some real spill, who's with?
A Jewish woman is suing an all-white community out of Arkansas. And yes, you heard me correctly. All-white communities still exist legally in the United States of America in the year 2026. Crazily enough. But she's suing on the basis that they denied her the right to buy land within their community. And I personally don't think that she really wanted to live in this area or with these people. I think that she's doing this for the culture. And I'm going to explain to you guys why. First and foremost, her husband is allegedly black and her kids are biracial. And I think that her suing this town is going to shed some light on the recent inequities that black people have faced at the hands and the rulings of our corrupt ass Supreme Court. There is this very disingenuous conversation and ultimately legislation occurring here in the United States pertaining to the topic of reverse discrimination against white people, which we all understand that in these overarching racist systems, it doesn't exist. Like, I hate to break it to some of y'all, but despite that fact, some court cases have been won on this false narrative. For instance, the most recent ruling regarding racialized gerrymandering practices that has essentially been allowed throughout the entire country, they utilize this argument. And I think in order for the Supreme Court to, one, remain logically consistent, and two, not hypocritical in the court of public opinion, they would have to side with this lady, especially within this current political climate where they have already argued under civil rights law and won that you cannot discriminate against somebody on the basis of immutable characteristics. Her Jewish ethnic identity is an immutable characteristic. Now, if you're not familiar, I did a video about this town, Return to the Land, last year. It's essentially an all-white sundown town out of Arkansas, and their members are anti-Semitic, racist, and homophobic because if you're Jewish, if you're LGBTQ, or if you're black, you can't live there, you can't purchase land. And my initial thought is like, good riddance. Like, I'm happy that they're voluntarily like sequestering themselves from the rest of the public because who would want to live around people who have that mindset? But upon further thought, it's a very one-sided issue, and it makes me want to combat this on the principle because while they're able to freely discriminate against people and deny people people of their civil rights. Meanwhile, we're being held up in the court systems and ultimately losing all of the equitable structures that were meant to better and liberate the Black community on those same claims. I feel like if we don't provide some type of pushback, things could get progressively worse. And I'm happy that she decided to put in this lawsuit, because Clarence Thomas and them, they need somebody that they can relate to. Sometimes it takes somebody who looks like them that makes them open their eyes to the bullshit. So W. Michelle Walker for doing your big one and standing 10 toes down in your convictions. We will be keeping an eye out on this lawsuit, because when I tell you it's juicy, Minute Maid.
Why does a whites-only town still exist on African land? My name is Noreen, and this is Real Africa Stories. If you've never heard of Orania, let me explain it simply. Orania is a town in South Africa where only white Afrikaners live by choice. Residents farm, run businesses, have their own currency called the Ora, and they decide who joins their community. Now, the bigger question, how is this happening in a country where Black South Africans fought, bled, and died for equality? To understand that, we need to look at timing. Orania did not start after democracy. It began in 1991, 2 years before South Africa held its first free election. A group of Afrikaners bought a piece of land and said, "We want a place to preserve Afrikaner culture and remain separate." But here's the legal twist. Because this happened on private land, New South Africa didn't automatically have the power to dissolve it. Then in 1996, the Constitution was written, a document born from liberation, but inside it sits rights that Orania uses, which are the right to private property, the right to freedom of association, and Section 235, cultural self-determination. The Constitution was written to protect diversity and prevent oppression. But those same protections now shield a community that once benefited from oppression. That is the part that stays with me. On African soil, the law meant to free us is protecting a town built on separation. So yes, Orania still exists, not because Africa welcomes it, but because legally no one has fought and won to close it. For many Africans and South Africans, it feels like a wound that never fully healed, a symbol that land, even today, is the deepest story in our continent's history. So let me ask you, what does freedom mean if the people once denied it remain the ones protected most by how it's written? This is the Africa you're not shown, but I'm here to show you.
A whites-only community could be coming to Missouri in 2025, and yes, you are hearing me correctly. An actual group called Return to the Land is trying to build a segregated whites-only town near Springfield, Missouri. And this isn't parody, and this is not satire. This is happening in America right now. The founder says that they want to return to their roots. But come on, guys, let's be real. This isn't about heritage. This is about hate. This is about building a safe space for white supremacy under the guise of community. And what's even more disturbing, these people feel so fucking emboldened these days that they're not even hiding it anymore. They're openly promoting racial segregation like it's normal, like this country didn't literally fight an actual civil war to end this bullshit. This is what happens when politicians feed the lie that diversity is the problem. This is what happens when you have people in power pushing the idea that America was better when it was whiter. They want to isolate, they want to indoctrinate, they want to raise their kids in a world where no one challenges their racism, their ignorance, or their twisted version of history. So, here's the question. How in the hell are we letting this happen in broad daylight? Where are the zoning boards? Where are the civil rights investigations? And where is the national outrage? Because if they succeed here, this won't be the last. It'll literally be the blueprint. We are watching the normalization of white nationalism one community at a time. And if you're not disturbed by that, you're either racist yourself or you're just not paying attention.
So the all-white town of Arkansas has failed. Oh, we found a fork in the kitchen. Like, we already knew this was going to happen. They didn't want to move there. They just wanted people to be mad about them moving there. And I was hoping it worked out. I was hoping the whole thing worked out for them so they could all move there. Listen, when they said, hey, let's play some music for you guys, and had to play the banjo. When they said, hey, let's have some food, and it looked like they were eating stale bread, I knew it was over. I knew it was over. I'm gonna tell you the truth. A lot of Caucasians in America love the idea of separating themselves, but they don't love the actual result of it. They don't realize that the wealth that was built and generated within white America was not through their own fruition, but on the backs and through the blood of other groups of people, Native Americans, Black Americans, and XYZ, everything in between. The agriculture built on the backs of natives, Latinos, and Black people. The infrastructure also built by free labor and or cheap labor. There are grants and money received given by the government, the true handout kings. And they don't actually realize every single place that has been all white in history, they don't really realize the fact that it has been destroyed also by them. Before they found other people to oppress and attack, to be honest, all Europeans used to do was just attack each other and be nasty and vile to each other.